Morning, Tyler.
How you doing, Jim?
Hanging in there.
That's a start. You got your eye on the prize. Friday at 5.
There you go. Well, it might become a little earlier than 5, but yes. How about you?
Good. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm ready for the weekend. I feel like I earned this one.
And okay, I think we've all earned it just by surviving. 3 days.
Three days. That sounds nice.
How
Are
you
you?
going, Leo?
What's that?
How things going over at Vallejo?
Going pretty well. Going pretty well. We got I think we are actually up to a full board of 14 now.
Oh, is that right?
We may have one opening, but I don't think we do anymore. So that's a gold star that we were able to check that off the box just recently.
No kidding.
And yeah, it's going pretty well. The state finances and everything aren't always helping out so much, but everything's going good.
Well, I know across the board, boards are having more and more trouble getting people to commit. So it's pretty awesome. You got a full one.
Yeah, what you still doing the CASA thing?
No, no. When Shelley when Shelley became executive, of course, had to drop off the board. So
Sure. Yeah, that's a lot.
Still remained at CASA, but I don't have an active case right now. Is Tug still over there?
Yeah.
Is he?
Well, wait. Oh, depends on where over there means.
On the CASA board.
I couldn't tell you. I think he might have been looking to move along, and whether he did or not, I'm not sure. But I might be speaking out of turn too, so I probably shouldn't have said anything.
I didn't hear anything. I hear nothing.
I know nothing. Mr. Ramos.
Yes, Mr. Murray.
Mr. President. So FYI, Kim got interviewed by your competitor, Channel 27. I think it's the Cap Fed Kids, whatever. And that's going to air on the 18th.
Cool.
So that might be worth noting. So.
You want to announce that today?
I could.
Yeah.
Very well can do that for you.
Put it down here so I don't forget. Who's that? Can you hear me okay? We've been having a little bit of trouble with our Zoom and our internet. Am I breaking up or am I pretty close?
You're good for now.
Okay. You be my eyes and ears, Murray. If you see me coming in and out, especially during the induction, let me know.
Okay,
Do jazz hands or something.
that's a voting sign where I come from.
That's what?
That's how we vote.
There you go.
Okay. Uh-oh.
I know. I got scared there for a second. You just popped up.
Good morning.
Good morning, Topeka South Rotary.
Look at that. Our own account.
That was kind of like the principal popping into my class yesterday.
For some reason, you know, at my work, we share, or we have an account with multiple users, and I don't, for whatever reason, there is occasions when Brett at our office is hosting a meeting and it just lets me in his meeting without like the host making you get in. And let me tell you, it has been a little creepy a few times that he's not ready to start the meeting, so he's not even there, and I'm looking into his house. I'm like, oh God, Brett, I hope everything's appropriate when you walk in.
Morning, Bill.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's see if I'm on. No, I'm okay.
Yep, we can hear you.
Thank you in advance for saving the day today.
Yes.
That's no, you get, but you get what you got, remember.
There you go. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
It's kind of, is it snowing at your house?
Yes. How about you?
A little bit, I think so.
It's snowing at the big house.
At
Supposed
the
to get
big
ugly.
house.
Yeah, it's big eye.
Is this your last week in person?
Don't talk to me about that.
Okay. Sore subject. Got it.
But yes.
Yeah, my kids that work in the coffee shop are a little bit depressed today.
I bet.
But because it's cold, it's getting busy. So,
Yeah.
this
Well,
is
Well, if
Yeah.
it wasn't so cold and I wasn't in my warm basement working today, I'd come by and get a coffee from your students, but you probably can't even let anybody in the building. No good.
I got a key. We can make it work. As long as you're not, sticking around. Mr. Barr, how are you?
I'm doing well, Mr. Moore. How are you?
I'm dandy, Governor.
Mr. Governor.
Mr. President, how you doing this morning?
Good. Good. Yourself?
Absolutely wonderful.
It never gets old.
Never gets old.
You have announcements this morning, Farron?
No,
No. Okay.
yeah, don't even call on me. Just pass right on by.
I just took you off.
Good.
We need to get to Bill.
Mhm.
Do
Yeah.
all the meeting stuff, but we want to hear from Bill. Oh, I'm gonna get some coffee here real quick before we start. Be right back.
Miss Ashley, good morning. Mr. Oliver, where are you at today or this weekend?
Buffalo, New York.
Yep.
Oh, doggy.
Balmy.
So David, are you going to get to do the AFC or NFC championship?
Probably not.
So who do we need to pay, David, to make sure that you can do it?
Nobody.
That's pretty cool, though. You got the playoffs Buffalo game. That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. I was in
Oh, yeah.
Seattle last week and Buffalo this week. So
Very cool.
And we'll need to schedule another one of those gatherings too, David.
yeah,
So how is it working with a new crew?
You know, it was good. Took a few games to get used to each other and how quickly people transition from one block to another block, but it was good.
Cool.
So,
So now will you be wearing a rotary patch when you're working the Super Bowl?
yeah, right. on my hat.
Well, maybe not this year, but it's just around the corner.
Yeah.
We're a little sparse this morning.
Good morning.
It's that long commute from my bedroom to my kitchen.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
I'm just looking outside and I'm sitting here thinking, thank God I actually don't have to drive today. It looks cold and nasty.
It could be worse.
Well, I know that we only have a few here, but we'll go ahead and get started. I know people will actually join as we go along. So good morning, everybody. This morning's pledge and invocation is going to be led by Murray Moore. So Murray.
Okay, this is going to be a repeat after me prayer. So mute your microphones, and here we go. Dear Lord, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Amen. No flag? I got
No
you.
flag, I'm sorry.
Hold on a minute.
Here, there you go.
All right. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of
of
the
the United
States
States
of
of
America and to the republic
Republic for which it stands,
is one nation under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty
liberty, and justice for
justice.
all. Amen.
All right, thank you, Murray. Guests and visitors from other clubs. I think Patrick O'Kane, you have a guest this morning.
Yes, I do. Eric Tyrell is on with us, I think. I don't know. I'm on my phone today, so it's kind of hard to tell who all's on. Eric is the owner of the tailored living business in kind of the KC metro area, and met him last week. He's a fellow franchisee under the same home franchise concepts that we have, and so I invited him along so he could see what Rotary is all about.
Awesome. Thanks, Patrick, and welcome, Eric.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any guests, or are there other visiting members?
Visiting return.
Beg your pardon? No, okay. Then we'll go ahead and move on to announcements. Austin Wingerson, are you on?
Yes.
You want to talk about CAN money, please?
Yeah. This next quarter, third quarter's CAN money is going to go towards harvesters, like it does typically every year. So you'll see that $12 optional charge on your statement that comes out here in a week or two, and we'd love it if you pay. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Austin. Murray, you have some exciting news about Kelm Lear at Interact.
Yeah, our president at Topeka High Interact will be featured on Channel 27 News on Monday. He's drawing some press, so we're excited and we're in the midst of planning our next project. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Murray. Tanya Dorf Bruner, are you on? There you
Yep.
I see her. Okay. All yours.
I just wanted to let everybody know, and I think all the new and incoming members know, we're going to have our next Rotary orientation on February 5th, right after the normal meeting. So you should have gotten a calendar invitation. I will send out an invitation also to all the sponsors, so you're aware of that meeting in case you're interested in attending as well. But just want to let you know, it'll be February 5th, just right after our normal meeting at 8:30.
Thank you, Tanya. David Oliver, in case you guys missed it this morning, will be working the playoff game in Buffalo this weekend, correct?
That is correct. Balmy Buffalo.
All righty. Watch for number 24. You're going to have a lot of eyes on you this time. Patrick also, talked about needing board members at Let's Help. That was in your newsletter. Adrian called me from Midland Care, Adrian Meyer, and asked that if anybody is available and wants to possibly drive for Meals on Wheels, I have a phone number. So since we're not currently doing any regular volunteer projects as a club in keeping with the service above self, if you know of any volunteer opportunities or have any that members can do safely, please let us know. We'll try to get the word out in these meetings. Please know that we'll announce it in the meetings, and maybe Sarah can put it in the newsletter, and that way, we can still do some service, we can still do some good in the community, and still do it safely. So that being said, Jessica, do you have any volunteer opportunities you want to talk about?
Well, I know if you can always go to topekavolunteers.org. We have new listings of volunteer activities from multiple different nonprofits listed all the time. I do think that I'm hoping that perhaps we will be able to help support the vaccination process. Once that starts to get more widespread, they are going to need more volunteers. So hopefully we can help post those opportunities if individuals are able to help with that. I know it would be greatly appreciated.
Keep your eyes and ears open. Pretty soon also too, Gary might be reaching out to you as we get started to look at now possibly putting together the golf tournament. That's coming up soon as well. Does anybody else have any announcements they want to talk about? No? In that case, I'm now going to induct Alyssa Shipman virtually, followed by comments from her sponsor, Murray Moore, and then, of course, Alyssa. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get out and do a video this week, but Alyssa, we will be getting you your badge and your pin here real soon. But I would like to go ahead and induct you now. So, fellow Rotarians and honored guests, today is a special day for all of us as we invite a new member into Topeka South Rotary. Alyssa, you've been approved for membership in this club because we believe you to be a worthy representative of your vocation, interested in the ideals of Rotary, and willing to do your share in translating these ideals into tangible realities. The ideal of Rotary is service. Our principal motto is service above self, and the object of this club and all Rotary clubs is to encourage and foster this ideal as a basis of worthy enterprise. Our hope is that you share in this effort. We welcome you not only for the fine fellowship that we'll share, but also for your willingness and abilities that will help us carry out our many projects and make our community, our country, and our world a better place in which to live. When we join Rotary, we become part of something bigger than ourselves. Beyond enriching our own lives and the lives of our family members, the relationships we build foster understanding across communities and cultures around the globe. I'm proud to be a Rotarian and sincerely hope that Rotary membership is as personally rewarding and satisfying for you and your family as it has been for all of those present here on this Zoom and for those who have gone before us during our 33 years at Topeka South Rotary, and indeed during the next 114 years of Rotary International, or the past 114 years. Now, will all members please offer jazz hands and warm welcome to our new Rotarian, Alyssa Shipman. Murray, I'm going to go let you introduce Alyssa.
I'd be more than happy to introduce Alyssa Shipman. She, from the minute we had a conversation about Rotary, she's jumped in with Interact. She's volunteering all over the community. And I think she's a great addition for us. And if you have insurance needs, feel free to reach out. So I'm just proud to know Alyssa Shipman.
Thank you.
Alyssa, would you like to say anything?
Thank you very much. It's fun. It's been different with Zoom, but that's okay. It's still trying to find ways that we can give back, even though we have to do it different. So I appreciate it.
Awesome, Alyssa. Well, we're lucky to have you and welcome. So if there's no other announcements, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jessica to introduce our speaker.
Good morning, Topeka South Rotary. I am, we had a little change in plan in our schedule today. Unfortunately, Reba Waiwatis, who was going to do our presentation this morning, is out ill. But thank you so much to Bill Bunten, who has agreed to swap places with Reba and be able to give us his vocation this morning. We so appreciate your willingness to jump in a little bit early. I'm not going to do much of a formal introduction for Bill because I think he's going to do that for us. But as many of you know, he joined our club this year. I believe that he said this is his 5th club. I know it's because he was saving the absolute best club for last. So we're hoping that that stays true. So Bill, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. That's a different introduction, or this is a different response than I'm used to giving in my 20 years here in Topeka. Because normally I say, I'm not the Topeka mayor, or I'm not the retired Topeka mayor, or after the late Topeka mayor passed in early last year, it's now I'm still alive. So it's nice to be with all of you this morning. In keeping with our founder's idea of vocational talks, I have been a career banker. In a variety of towns and a variety of places. I don't know how many bankers there are in this group, but I'm probably going to bore some of you, and I'll tell some of you new things to some of you about the banking business, or at least from my perspective. My dad was a banker. He was a bank examiner growing up, never finished college, went to business school as well as part-time a couple of years to Baker. And then in 1928, decided that he wanted to become a bank owner. To put dollars into perspective, in 1928, the bank that he became a part owner of had $342,000 in deposits. Beginning as a sophomore, I started working in the bank, sophomore in high school. First job was sweeping out the vault. From there, I graduated to learning what an adding machine was. And from an adding machine, went on to the proof machine. And over the course of the next 10 years on and off, did a lot of things in that bank, never becoming a full-time employee. Then going on to college, first at Baker and secondly Washburn Law. My wife and I decided that we wanted to go to the east. So we wound up in Philadelphia for a year at Wharton, and Wharton took us back to Detroit. The National Bank of Detroit was our home for 10 years. 10 years actually to the day. It was an experience that we valued greatly. We have a lot of friends from the Detroit area, a lot of friends from who are former associates. And at the end of 10 years, and incidentally, this bank has changed its name. In 1952, it became First Chicago NBD. It was originally created in 1933. Jesse Jones was encouraged by Franklin Roosevelt to create a bank in Detroit because the banks in Detroit were having financial problems and I think political problems. So he went to Henry Ford and he went to the then president, CEO of General Motors and said, Jesse said, if you two guys will each put up 50% of the capital, I'll put up 50% of the capital and we'll start two new banks. Henry said, no, I'll just do it. And he did. He started a bank that was known as the Manufacturers National Bank. But the man from GM said, sure, that's fine. So for the first 9 years of its life, the National Bank of Detroit was owned by General Motors, with the exception that Chrysler, after about 8 months, bought about a 20% stake in the bank. Not many people realize that in the 1930s, there was a corporation that owned a bank. When I worked at that bank, it was the 20th largest in the United States, the 25th largest in the world, the largest by far in Detroit from its first day and throughout its life. In 1952, the FDIC asked it to buy a larger bank or merge with a larger bank, the First National Bank of Chicago, which it did. And then it became Bank One, and the present CEO of Morgan Guaranty came from that bank and took the place of a very good friend of mine who was then the CEO of First Chicago NBD Bank One. But after 10 years, Chuck, my wife, and I decided to move back to our home area. And we went to work. I went to work for the Merchants National Bank in 1967, working at that bank until 1979. And in 1979, we decided to move on again and move to what was then what became the United Central Bank in Des Moines. I left the Merchants in 1997. I'm sorry, 1987. As its president, went to a bank in Des Moines. Stayed in Des Moines for 4 years. Decided we wanted to come back to Kansas because we had the opportunity to go to work for the First National Bank in Wichita, which is now Intrust Bank throughout the state. Stayed there, retired in 1996. Enjoyed my career in banking. My dad, incidentally, had perfect attendance in Rotary for something like 30 years. I never quite achieved that goal, never had that as a goal, as a matter of fact. I'm married to a guy by the name of Chuck. When I went to work in Wichita, I worked with a guy by the name of Chuck. So it was kind of like Topeka having to make up for the mayor. In Wichita, I was having two Chucks, one at home and one at work. As I said, we retired in 1996, and that's my career and history in banking.
Does anybody have any questions for Bill? Bill, you want to talk about anything? Maybe your life outside of banking?
Well, bankers are supposed to join every organization in the community. And I think I probably did a fairly good job of that with about 50 nonprofits and profits throughout my banking career in all of the different towns where I worked. from Detroit on, actually. And that's been a very rewarding career because, as all of you know, it's good to give something back. The way you give something back is by going further. And it's been an enjoyable trip to go back further.
Bill, this is Roger Underwood.
Hi.
Maybe you'd like to share with the group your involvement in SCORE in Topeka.
Thank you, Roger. I'd like you to listen to this very carefully. SCORE is an SBA-sponsored, Small Business Administration-sponsored organization, one of two that sit side by side. SCORE, which originally was a service corps for retired executives, but now is known by its acronym SCORE. We help people who are just starting in business or who are having problems with the businesses that they have started. We have a group of now about 20 people, all of whom have had business experience and all of whom look forward to helping other people. Our most recent meeting was yesterday. So yesterday we talked about the cases that we have underway. The other organization that the SBA sponsors, a lookalike organization, is our small business development centers. The small business development centers have paid employees. Carl Klein being the administrator of the Washington Topeka SBDC. SCORE people are all volunteers. We don't get paid anything. Some of the time we got our expenses reimbursed, but there's an awful lot of time when that doesn't even happen. SCORE is responsible for helping businesses in 9 northeastern counties. Most of it is in Topeka. Most of our people live in Topeka. Now, I would like to encourage all of you to think about another way to help others, and that's becoming a SCORE volunteer and giving advice to small business people who are either starting in business or who are having difficulty with the problems that they have. And incidentally, we don't always succeed. In the newspaper this week, there was an article about a business that is closing its doors, but the man who in that particular business tried very hard to keep his business open. And we spent a lot of time, along with others, along with the SBDC and the chamber staff, trying to help that business stay open. But it's a great opportunity to help other businesses by helping other businesses start. And Roger, you would be a great addition to our group.
For some reason, I knew that was going to be coming. It's good to see you, Bill.
Good to see you too.
You lit that fire, Roger. Bill, Jessica mentioned that this is your 5th club. Of course, we all know that you're a Topeka staple and, you've been around the city. And what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen, not only in the city, but in Rotary over your involvement?
My wife and I were talking about this morning, and the biggest change that she has seen is the fact that we're now co-ed. She has not been a Rotary member, but she's been very impressed, and as I am impressed by the advantages of accepting, that's not the right word, including, that's still not the right word, but having women as a part of our structure is one of the best things that happened. Another thing that has happened is the extension of the exclusivity. It used to be there was only one commercial banker. Andy Chandler, for example, came here. He was a Rotarian before he came here. He wanted to be a Rotarian, but he couldn't become a member of downtown Rotary because of the exclusivity of sites or job classifications. That's the word I'm trying to think of. So that's been a big change. there's another change that I'm very much worried about. And actually, it shows we now have 42 participants in this conversation. You've been more successful than any other group that I've been with in building up or keeping or maintaining your population with Zoom. But one of the most difficult things that I've seen in organizations is people no longer want to belong to an organization. They no longer want to have to go to meetings. It's a real challenge to try to get people to go out organized into the community. Part of this is that corporations now include a great deal of community enthusiasm and a community justification evaluation for their employees. That didn't exist formally. It now exists formally. So that's been a major change in the way we're staffing nonprofit businesses.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I see where you're coming from, and you know, honestly, I think it's just a testament to Topeka South, honestly, and the group that it is. It really has been a struggle to keep everybody engaged. But then, Bill, you're right. I mean, you know, it is a great club that you know we still try to do what we can, and we're still committed to the fellowship and. Thanks for bringing that up, because it is a struggle on a weekly basis, but it is a testament to the core of Topeka South, because here we still are on Zoom, and one of these days that is going to open up, and we're going to get back involved, and I think people will be chomping at the bits to do service projects.
Now, let me make another pitch too.
All right.
I'm also the program chair for a group called the Chamber Senior Council. And we meet twice a month, and we try to bring in speakers who are interesting and who have something to add. It doesn't cost you anything except $60 a year. Our only purpose is to bring in speakers to listen and find out what's going on in Topeka. We meet twice a year, and there are no other requirements, but it's called the Topeka Chamber Senior Council. Call me and let me tell you more about it.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions for Bill? I haven't checked the comments.
Yeah, there are two questions in the chat. So Bill, I'll ask you the first one. It comes from Doug. He said, "What are the biggest changes you've experienced in banking?"
That's because banking has changed so much. I'm not sure I would want to start out as a banker. One of the things that I loved to do was lend money to corporations. That's what I did in Detroit. And incidentally, the bank in Detroit was known nationally as being probably the best lending bank, best credit bank among the large banks in the United States. And now you don't get that kind of experience. You get it in a different way. It's much more structured. And that's a change. And that change has been brought about, of course, by first intrastate banking and with branches, and then secondly, interstate banking. And then it's kind of like the credit union down the street from me. They're now building a building for their mortgage company. So the expansion of the activities that banks have gotten into has also been a major change.
Bill, a former neighbor of yours that may or may not be named Mark said something about you've flown a plane from Topeka to Alaska multiple times.
I said I've been in Alaska 6 times. That airplane of mine, which was born in 1957, and I spent about 60 years together, and we flew into 49 different states and I think 11 different Canadian provinces. it was the way my wife and I enjoyed our vacations throughout retirement. But we got to see a lot of the United States, and it was fun. You know, we pop in the airplane. We would not know necessarily where we were going to land or spend the night. We try to find a motel. When it was time to eat, we try to find the best place to eat in town. Normally, that's where the most cars were, and we'd ask as many questions. But it was just a lot of fun getting to know a different sector of a different slice of the United States. Oh, and incidentally, when I first bought that airplane in 1960, the cost of that airplane to me was $9,500. The cost of that airplane new today, I noticed, would be between $400,000 and $600,000. And I didn't sell it for $400,000 or $600,000 either.
Well, do we have any other questions for Bill?
Penny has a question in the chat box. She had just asked, how have you been keeping yourself busy, keeping your mind sharp with the current safe at home and during the pandemic?
That's been difficult until about 3 weeks ago. I ran 3.5 miles every other day on the treadmill or at the Y. I'm crossing my 95th birthday. I'm sorry, my 89th birthday. That's going to stop in all probability. But that was one way to do it. Played golf on occasion. When you don't hit the ball very far, it's discouraging. But still, you try to do it. And it's also been interesting watching the business world in the stock market. And I'm a very poor planner of retirement plans. I have no retirement income from a corporation. I've outlived them. And so it's been interesting to me to live during this period of the greatest bull market in history. And that's how I've been able to maintain some sanity throughout this time.
This is Roger again, and I just want to make a comment. Of course, Bill and I go back. I started in the banking business in 1970, and he was at Merchants at the time. I was at the old First National Bank at Topeka, but he has always been a role model to bankers, and I'm glad to have him in our club.
Thank you, Roger. Roger, that's unwarranted because the people around me have been the role models, you and other guys with whom I've worked throughout the years.
Bill, this is Ashley. I was curious with your work with SCORE and these small business owners in Topeka, especially now with the pandemic, but obviously even before. I'm just curious what are they seeing right now as their biggest challenges? Are they what we would expect, or is there maybe something different that we're unaware of that's really affecting small businesses?
No, I think everything that's been publicized. They need funding. They need grants. They need a period of time to work their finances out. It's been interesting to me. I would have expected banking, and Roger, you probably can answer this better than me, but I would have expected there to have been a lot more defaults, a lot more closures from a financial standpoint than what I've seen with small businesses. We've seen the big businesses, but I would have expected more small businesses to call it. But restaurants and travel are two areas that are greatly affected, but a lot of the other areas are not. One of my grandsons is a computer operator at a machine shop. And he's been working throughout this time, and he lives in Wichita, and they manufacture aviation products. but he's been working all the time. Actually, he's been working on their second shift. And that's the kind of business that I think is very surprising to me, that hasn't gone away.
Okay, well, any other questions for Bill?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. As a member of SCORE, do you plan to be involved with the Bright Center at the Small Business Development Center at Washburn?
I'm sorry.
As a member of SCORE, do you plan to be involved with the Bright Center that will start this month by the Small Business Development Center at Washburn?
I'm not familiar with it,
okay.
but I'm sure that we'll be involved by referrals, by client referrals to SCORE or from SCORE to and through that center. Is that sponsored by the SBDC, the Washburn SBDC?
Yes, it will be part of SBDC, and I think BRIGHT stands for Business Research in International Trade and Entrepreneurship. And the idea is to give support to entrepreneurs and small and medium-sized companies that are involved in international trade. I hope that you'll be there.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and move along now. Bill. Oh, there we go. Bill, certainly thank you for stepping in today on such short notice. I know Topeka South Rotary is better having you in it. Thank you again. Congratulations to Alyssa for being inducted this morning. And then, of course, welcome, Eric. We loved having you this morning. Hope to have you again. That being said, let's go ahead and start our 3-day weekend with, after work, of course, when everybody gets done. Let's go ahead and do the 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And
is it fun?
Everyone have a wonderful 3-day weekend. Make sure you watch David in Buffalo, number 24 on the sideline there. Everybody have a great weekend. See you next week.
Good to see everybody. Bye.
Bye.